Welcome to T-Boys TV. I can't even see myself because this laptop is crap. That is why I'm so late. Apologies about it. I was doing my nutting. I was tempted to do a pre-recorded. I don't even know if you guys can still see me, hear me. My screen's completely froze. It doesn't usually do that when I'm live. It's usually before. But there we go. I can see myself now. We are obviously back again for another Hat Show. Obviously, episode 119. Obviously, we are taking on Wolves in this one. Obviously, second home game in the Premier League. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for me. This is going to be two teams that are going to be in that battle this season. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Obviously, we're still, with no points. Wolves obviously having 3. But yeah, we'll get a bit more into it. But like always, I'm joined with my dad. How are we, Dad?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Good.
Is what it is, right?
Yeah. I'd like to say apologies, people, because I know there's a lot of people in the chat, but sometimes I can't handle it because it's just so slow. The annoying thing is I turned it on like an hour before as well, but is what it is. But obviously we're here now. So yeah, let's just get into it. So like I say, obviously we're taking on Wolves, of course, this weekend, second home game in the Premier League at home. And yeah, it's an interesting one. Like I say, for me, it's two teams that will be in the battle, when it comes to the relegation. Obviously us Luton fans know, going to be in there. First time being in the Premier League. It's, that's the the thing to do first season, try and stay up. That is the aim. Wolves, obviously, they've had, quite a few FFP problems, stuff like that as well. They've lost key players, Jimenez. As much as he wasn't the same since that head injury, still a very good player for them for many years. Matinho, midfielder, Neves, obviously, some of the goals he scored as well. They've lost a lot of key players. Obviously, I did sack their manager, quite a few days before the Premier League started as well. Obviously, they got in O'Neill. They currently sit, obviously, in 16th on 3 points, having one win so far this season. Obviously, that was away at Everton, which, to be fair, I'd say that's a good win because, one, like I say, it's a team. Everton will be in that battle, so it's a team, that they've beat, away from home as well. Everton, as much as they're, in the battle, it's still a very difficult place to go, hostile place. It'll be interesting, obviously, when we go there next weekend. And then obviously we sit 20th, as we know, still unfortunately got no points. But a bit of insight, like we always do, between the two sides going into this. This is the first top flight meeting between Luton and Wolves since the 1983 to 84 campaign. The Hatters winning at home 4-0 and away 2-1 games against Wolves that season. Wolves are unbeaten in their last 7 league games against Luton, winning 4, drawing 3, winning the last 3 in a row. This is their first such meeting since a 3-2 win at Kenilworth Road in March 2007. Luton Town are just the second team to lose their first 4 games as a Premier League side, along with Swindon in 1993, who drew 0-0 at Norwich in their 5th game. It's only the 3rd time the Hatters have started a league season within England's top 4 tiers with 4 defeats, along with 1927 to 28 and 2002 to 3, avoiding defeat in the 5th game in both seasons. Wolves have started a Premier League season with 4 defeats in their first 5 games for a 3rd time, also doing so in 2003 to 4, drawing 1, losing 4 in that season, and 2021 to 22 as well. They won 1 and lost 4. They've also conceded 11 goals in their first 5 games in the competition for just the 2nd time, shipping 12 in 2003 to 4. And then the last one on this section, Luton are looking to avoid becoming just the 6th team in Premier League history to lose their first 5 games in the season. After Southampton in 1999, they ended up finishing 17th that season. Sunderland in 2005 to 6, they finished rock bottom. Portsmouth in 2009 to 10, they finished rock bottom as well. And then Crystal Palace in 2017 to 18, they actually finished 11th. after having that start, which is pretty crazy. Norwich City in 2021 to 22 20th. So that's a bit of the history books there, as they say. And then a bit more going into the game, regarding more so the actual game tomorrow, like the referee and that sort of thing. And, a bit more about the opposition and that. We'll get into that. So obviously it's Luton's second game, like I say, at home in the Premier League ever. Rob Edwards' side have shown progress across their first 4 Premier League fixtures with no points to show for it so far. Gary O'Neill's Wolves have won just one of their first 5 games, like we mentioned. Obviously, their last game was that 12:30 kickoff defeat to Liverpool. A bit about Wolves, a bit more. Wolves have had a disputed pre-season when the club parted company with previous manager 6 days before Manchester United. South Korean Hwang Hee-chan scored in 3 of Wolves' 5 Premier League games this season, while Portuguese winger Pedro Neto has 4 assists and sits joint top of the Premier League assist table. So, yeah, there's that. And then Rob Edwards going into it, he said, we want to get points on the board. Being at home in front of our supporters, we recognise that these are the best opportunities for us to get that going. We've had a really positive week after a better performance from us against Fulham and showed more progression. It will be a different performance. At home, we want to be a different team, so we really want to engage our fans, get them involved in the game as well. We know how big a part they can play in it. Hopefully, we can bounce off each other and make it a really good day. The last meeting against Wolves, just in general, not in a league or anything, was one of the great FA Cup times Luton have had. Obviously, a couple of years, many years ago now, obviously knocked out Norwich when they were obviously in the Premier League, and we were in the conference. That was a very historic moment. And even this one, because we were in non-league again and Wolves were in the Championship and we knocked them out of the FA Cup in 2013. Alex Lawless volley at the start of the second half was the difference as Town advanced to the 4th round. Where they became the first non-league side to beat a Premier League side when they defeated Norwich City. All right, was that the same season?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, there you go then. There you go. Obviously, Lawless was obviously I didn't quite see it like I managed to, but I said no, he was a very good player. So, yeah, obviously scored a very good goal in that one. Obviously, last time out, we had that narrow defeat to Fulham. When it comes to team news for this one, and this is quite new because they didn't usually used to do this. Rob Edwards would just say, and they'd say there. But Ross Barkley will unfortunately not be in selection for this one. Now, if he was, I'd have probably went with him in the lineup. If I'm being honest, obviously he was not involved against Fulham with a slight hamstring injury. However, Luton's number 6 is back in training, so hopefully, as the weeks go on, the games go on, because the games are coming thick and fast now. Hopefully he'll be back and ready for that. And then the other players who are out are the ones that are still out anyway. So the likes of Osho, Clark. Shout out to Clark as well. It is his birthday today. Obviously, he did score in the playoff final, in the 90 minutes. So moments like that we'll never forget. So big up to him. And then Dan Potts. So it's the same, injuries as it has been, from a while now. And then the referee for this one is one that is predominantly a referee in the Championship, which is quite interesting. And his name is Josh Smith. And the last time he did referee us was actually that 2-0 Derby Day win against Watford. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. When it comes to that. But that's insight when it comes into the game and the stuff like that. After saying all of that, Dad, how are you feeling? History books and just everything in general.
Yeah, it's got a lot of little twists in that, especially recently. Obviously, the last time we played them, we beat them in the cup, and we were, this shows us that come on now, this is what we're fighting for. We could beat them then, we can beat them now. Let's be honest. Yeah. And this is that kind of moment where we have to show it at home. They've already learned in the last game that they have to change it up, and I'm sure it will come into good effect in this game. But yeah, yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting, but it's still going to be difficult because obviously when we played them in a friendly, yeah, it was 0-0, but they had loads of chances, and they did play us off the park, you know, albeit like that was our first kind of test, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We've obviously improved since then, but they've got ball player. Their players have got a lot of technical ability, and if they, you know, if they did have one or two additions in their squad, they'd be all right, you know. Like I've seen enough of them to know that if you switch off against them, they will beat you. They just haven't. They're just too. They haven't really got structure or something at the moment. I think that's what they're lacking. Once they get going, and Gary O'Neill knows how to utilise the players that he's got, and I reckon they will get better. So it's not going to be easy, but we've got the home advantage. We're going to change up our tactics. You know, he's not going to be too sure. It's like I said to you earlier, a battle between O'Neill and Edwards is quite interesting because they're both like relatively new managers, really. And I think Rob Edwards is good in his own way, his own merit. But I think our backroom staff are probably better than theirs. More experience. I think it's going to be a tactical battle. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, what I have seen is, you know, the usual silly comments by certain, you know, Wolves fans, you know, going into it.
Every Premier League team's going to do it when they play us. They're going to go,
yeah,
and especially at the moment, you know, with no points.
No points there.
If we start picking up points, obviously, then they'll start. Oh, I don't know, you know, and a lot of their fans are actually like that as well with this game.
Yeah, no, a lot of them, you know, from what I've seen, have been.
Of them to know that, you know, but if they don't do it in this game, I think Gary O'Neill's going to struggle with them because they're obviously not sort of getting through. They've got a lot of egos there. In my opinion, I remember we played them in a friendly, and they was, you know, they were moaning about loads of stuff and that. Like they were agitated. They fouled Chong. Like,
Nunes was a massive.
This is more pressure because it's you know it's points at stake. So it's gonna. We've got that to our advantage. We've got that little history. If the crowd get behind them as well, us, you know, then they're there for taking. You know, yeah, they play. It's like against Man United, they played really well in the first half. Well, I think it was maybe more than that. Do you know what I mean? But Liverpool, the second half, Liverpool didn't even turn it up for me. They just put a little bit of pressure on them. Just started, you know, doing the basics right, and then cutting through them. And then they were like, oh, I don't know what to do now. Because they're good passing, Liverpool kind of just thought, oh, that take time to adjust. But once they did, we've just got to not let them get in any passing with them. Just cut them up, attack them, stop piling forward. You know, like we used to at Kenny. You know what I mean? That's what we need to do. So,
yeah. Nah, absolutely. But the thing I was going to say is Gary O'Neill thing. I've seen a few of their fans saying, "Oh, if you don't win this game, you've got a guy." It's just bizarre, man. He's just joined. You know, it's just silly comments. You know, and we are, like you say, we are going to get it because we've got no, you know, points. You know, it's a new thing for us. You know, being in the Premier League as a whole, but some of it is just beyond a joke now. It really is. But yeah, it's that. We'll go through some comments and then we will get into the lineup. Big up to Luca. He says, "How are you? I am good, thanks, mate. I hope you are well. By the laptop, I'm all right." Big up Chris for these questions. So basically, obviously, it does say in the title, a Wolves fan, you know, in the title. He hasn't managed to actually jump on it, but he's been able to do a pre-recorded. So I'd love to ask him these questions, but he won't unfortunately be on. But big up for them anyway, Chris. Big up to Spencer in the chat. Big up to Stephen as well. And Stephen also saying, Lawless, amazing. Yeah, from what I heard from you, Dad, he was a very good player. So yeah,
but for what we had at the time, he was pretty decent.
Yeah. But it is that time, like I say, we'll get into the lineup. So obviously we're at home, so we expect a little bit of a change. So obviously what it was against Fulham in the sense where we're not going to go as defensive. We've said it throughout so far this season. When we're at home, we're going to be more direct and we're not going to be as defensive. Because of how we can be at home and what we know we're capable of, how Kenilworth Road is, the pitch, etc. The tightness and stuff like that. So obviously in goal. Now it's an interesting one because obviously on the last one we had that talking point. Does Tim Krul now get a chance, or do you give Kaminski another chance to go at it again? I've had a long, hard thought about it because obviously on the last one I wasn't too sure, and I will stick with him. And one of the reasons I'll stick with him is because, like I've said, in games he's prevented it from being even more, and also the fact we are playing on Tuesday. Obviously in the League Cup, and Tim Krul will play in that. And, say, for example, it went to penalties, we know obviously how good we were, with penalties in the playoff final. And plus on top of that, you would have Tim Krul, who obviously, had that memorable moment in the 2014 World Cup, where obviously he was substituted on and basically won them the penalty shootout. So there's that game anyway. So, that's coming up. So I'd go with Tim Krul for that one. Keep him playing in cup games for definite. And then maybe seeing how Kaminski does a bit later on, after a couple of games, if he's maybe does another mistake, maybe. It depends how bad it is if he does one. But right now I'd stick with him in goal for this game. So yeah, it's one of them. There he is. Still says Blackburn, annoyingly. Now the back three, obviously Osho's still out. Like I said, Potts, even though Potts to me wouldn't start if he was back. I think it's got to be an unchanged. Back three from Fulham, in my opinion, which was obviously on that right hand side. Obviously Reece Burke. And then obviously, what's going on with this? There we go. Yeah, so obviously Reece Burke on the right. Since he's come in, he's done well. Since he's been playing a lot this season, he looks like we said, he's able to make that step up from what we've seen of him. Looks composed, and just looking good. He's just looking good. So, you're going to have to stick with him as well, especially with the lack of options we have. I will put him in when it actually lets me. And then obviously Lockyer in the middle, again, similar, to what I was saying, the lack of options. And to be fair, in the Fulham game, like we said, he made some really good blocks. One thing that does annoy me sometimes is the long balls that he tries. But, if he dampens down on them, I think, he'll do a lot better in games and we'll probably end up giving him higher ratings. So, yeah, Lockyer there. And then obviously on the left, I mean, yeah, it's got to be Anderson, really, hasn't it? Because how composed he's looked. Out of all the defenders so far this season, could argue him or Burke, who's been the best one for me. But I'd say Anderson. The way he's just come in straight away. He's been on that left side as well, mainly. So I'd go with him. When it comes to that. Oh, I can't put him in now. So yeah, Lockyer in the middle. Like I say, Burke on the right. And, hopefully we get to see Mendy at some point. Because we have been crying out for a left-sided centre-back, for a year and a bit now. So, yeah. Oh, no, not Mendy. It's because I was talking about him. Mendy, no, I meant to say Anderson. There we go with that. Where is he? There he is. And then, so the formation as well, by the way, I forgot to mention that, is a 3-4-1-2. Because obviously it gives, the wing backs that are usually the wing backs, more time to bomb up there. We're at home, so go with that. We'll start off with the midfield. Actually, the midfield now for me, let's say you're not going to go 2 CDMs because we're at home. It's interesting between Lukonga and Nakamba for me because Lukonga's on loan, so you want to make the most of using a loan player. I didn't think he started off great against Fulham, but I thought as the game went on, he played better. And then Nakamba, he's done well the last 2 games for me. He started off not so great to the season, but I think the West Ham game and the Fulham game, he's been decent. So I'll say Nakamba. And then alongside, I'm going to go Ruddock because I feel he deserves to start. Every time he's come on, he's been pushing, trying to make things happen, and he's just looking hungry, So I would go with Ruddock in there. And then I'll go with the cam, and then I'll go to the wing backs, or obviously left mid and right mid in this game. Now, the cam is... For me, it's got to be Chong because obviously Barkley's still out. Like I said, if Barkley was in, I would have went with him, or available, sorry, I would have went with him. But, let's go with Chong. He hasn't impressed me in the last 2 games. Started off well, but last 2 games, he ain't been as good for me. So hopefully this game he can, do something. And then the right side and the left side. So the right side... You could say Doughty or Kabore for me. It's an interesting one because obviously every time Doughty's, played, he's done well. Kabore is similar to, what you usually say about loan players. You like to play them, sort of thing. And I thought Kabore was decent against. So I'll start with him. Oh, put that T in. There you go. There he is. And then the left side, you could even argue to put Doughty there. I'm going to go Giles because, like I say, I felt it was right that he was dropped against Fulham because how poor he was against West Ham. But I feel he probably will play in this one as well. Mari Bell. We were saying he needs a rest against Fulham. Didn't quite get that, but still played really well. Obviously he was playing in his natural position as well. Had that chance, very unlucky. But Giles, I feel it makes sense. Being against his former club. Obviously, when we played him in that friendly, he looked, very good as well in that game. Was providing good crosses, which we know he's capable of. And I think a good pick. It could be a good time for him to come back in the swing of things. Maybe hit some form. So I'll say Giles. And then the 2 up front. Again, there's a few debates. For me. I think Morris is one that's probably nailed on, let's be honest. And then this side, you could say Chio. He's looking very good. He did make a record, 2nd fastest player in the Premier League this season. It's that run against Fulham. I remember watching it at the time, and I was like, wow, how he's managed to get to that. And obviously, again, similar to Ruddock in the sense of, he's looked hungry every time he's come on. Obviously, done very well in the international break, just gone for Ireland. Didn't quite score, but definitely affected both of the games. And then you could argue Brown again. For me, he was the man of the match, or both of us giving man of the match against Fulham. Obviously he hit the post on that header, very unlucky. How high he jumped when I look back at it was crazy as well. And he come back and done some good defensive work, helped out the defence as well. So yeah, it's interesting. But me, I'll stick with Brown. I'll stick with Brown in this one just because I feel he still deserves to start. Like I say, very unlucky not to score in that one. So that's the lineup I'd go with that formation. Dad, do you agree with that one?
Yeah, pretty much. Kaminsky and goal, the back three exactly how they are. I'd be wanting to start Ruddock as well. I feel Nakamba will definitely start, and Lokonga. I think maybe we will use that more away, as Ruddock is a bit of both. Do you know what I mean? We need that kind of spirit in the midfield, which for me we've been lacking for the whole season so far. And at home, Ruddock can provide that. Kabore is starting right. Chong, yeah. Giles, for me, like I wouldn't start him. I'd bring him on like in an hour, 60, 70 minutes, like make him hungry for it against his old club and stuff, because he hasn't produced much so far. And I'd be tempted to start Doughty more on that side, because I feel Doughty's better defensively as well. So we can't be like just conceding chances straight away and things. And Giles hasn't been great, has he? So for me, that's what I'd do. And up front, yeah, I'll keep it the same. But I do feel that we need to switch it up sometimes. But that is, if we start Brown again, that is, from the norm. Everyone expects Elijah, but I do think Brown will get started. Morris, I think he's obviously favourite to start in that, but I'd be tempted to switch it up again. Like, I feel like Woodrow's done all right. Like when he's been coming on and against Gillingham, I think he has got that natural technique as well.
Mm.
So I don't know. I think he'd work well with Brown. So I'll be tempted to start him, but that obviously it's probably not going to happen. But if you can bring him on as early as you can, that'd be interesting. But yeah.
No, I can see that. I also feel Morris will probably still, be in there, because also it links back to what I said with Kaminsky when it comes to the game on Tuesday. He might change it again there. Well, he probably will, and maybe go Woodrow and I don't know, maybe Chio, something like that. Maybe, we'll see. But yeah, maybe if there wasn't a cup game coming up where we can, rotate it a little bit, I'd probably say it could be a change up front, even more. But we will see. We will see. Sometimes, I remember doing these and then going to the ground or looking at it, and seeing that it's not really what I went with or what I went with. So we'll see. It might be one of them. You never know. Might even be a different formation for all we know. We'll have to see. We will have to see. But your lineups, Stephen says the same as Fulham, except Bell for Giles. So yeah, he's pretty much similar to what I've gone with. Obviously, you'd keep Lokonga in the midfield then. But other than that, it's what it was, wasn't it? So that's fair enough. Jackie says, hi, Ty and Daz. I think we should give Bell a rest. Yeah, I agree. We were saying it in the last game.
So,
yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, there we go with that. Big up to Shay says, I think Chong's got to be dropped or played CM and let Chio or Brown play there. I don't know about CM personally, but I wouldn't, mind seeing Chio or Brown given a chance there. To be fair, instead of Brown, I'd maybe say Woodrow, just because we've seen him in that role before, and he's not, not that bad there. Obviously, when Nathan Jones played in there, we did question it because we just didn't expect it. But the more we've seen him there, he's he can do a job there. And Chio, I definitely wouldn't mind that either, because some of the passing, the 1-2 link up he can make, and yeah, that would be good. Anything you'd like to add on that, Dad?
No, like I say, we've seen him play there, but I think we ain't, unless you play Ruddock there or someone else there, Berry possibly. But Chong has got the ability, so you have to kind of keep going with the guy because we ain't got anyone else with his ability. If that makes sense, like that's the problem. You've got to start him at least, and then when you substitute him, if nothing, he's not doing nothing, and the person that comes in keeps replacing him, starts doing well, then it changes things. But other than that, it's not gonna. So and it's unfortunate that Barkley's still injured. I feel like he might have been involved in this game.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I say, that's what I would have went with if he was. And yeah, and then Jackie just saying doubt he can score as well. Yeah, exactly. That's another benefit with him, isn't it? We've seen many spectacular goals from him from his time at Luton already. QPR, Gillingham. Yeah, it's been a few. But yeah, that is true. So that's that when it comes to the lineup sort of things. So yeah, I'll get rid of that now. So what we're getting to now is, like I said, the Wolves fan didn't manage to jump on live with us, but he has managed to do a couple of minute preview. So stay back, relax, and give this a listen.
And look, for and this isn't any disrespect to Luton, every team is going to go into this game wanting to win. And then I'm not coming into this game fully expecting 3 points because Wolves haven't been phenomenal themselves. I know it is going to be a tough game, but it's been a crazy season for Wolves. You guys would have seen throughout the summer we had so many. So much chopping and changing. Our manager at the time, Julen Lopetegui, left just a week before the season kicked off. And we ended up bringing in Gary O'Neill quite quickly after, who still has a lot of fans to convince. It's quite... And again, this is no disrespect to Gary O'Neill, quite a disappointing appointment due to his sort of lack of experience and so on. But we've still seen some good moments from him. Although we've only got 3 points on the table at the moment, we have seen some strong moments, but the issue is that Wolves aren't getting the points to back those performances up. The United game, Manchester United on the opening day of the season, we were fantastic, but at the end of the day, didn't take our chances. And when you don't take your chances at Old Trafford, you're going to get punished. Brighton game, we ended up losing that 4-1, but it was a game of if buts and maybes. We could have easily gone in at half time level or ahead. Instead, we were 1-0 down. We were asleep for the first 10 minutes of the second half, and Brighton put us to the sword, and ultimately that won them the game. We beat Everton, probably. We went in at half time 1-0 up. We played Liverpool off the park. We created so many chances. And in the second half, I don't know what had changed. The momentum, the urgency, the intensity from Wolves just seemed to really slow down, and it allowed Liverpool to get into the game. And once again, if you don't take your chances against teams like Liverpool, you're going to get punished. And ultimately we did. But, we made a rod for our own back with some of the mistakes that we were making. So, we go into this game full of optimism, but at the same time, Wolves fans are cautious because we know, there's a lot of pressure on Wolves in this game. We need to get 3 points because we've got some really tough games still coming up. We play City next week. We play Villa after that. So there's really big pressure on Gary O'Neill, and these are the games that he has to win to keep fans on side. Players that you really, on form for Wolves right now. Pedro Neto's picked up a huge number of assists. I think he's got the most key passes in the Premier League so far this season. He's been unfortunate with injuries over the last couple of years. Every time he gets that little bit of momentum, or as a strong pre-season, he normally picks up a little injury, but he's been really, really good so far. One player as well that I picked out is Jean-Rickner Bellegarde. He's a new player, a French guy that we signed on deadline day from Strasbourg in France. and he had a fantastic debut against Liverpool. So I fully expect him to kick on and have and start against Luton as well. Be intriguing. I think a lot of fans will be keeping their eye on Ryan Giles from the Luton side of things. A lot of fans were disappointed that Wolves let him go for as little as we did. I know there's sell-on fees and buyback clauses involved in that, but we are obviously intrigued to see how he does, and we know he's got a wicked ball into the area. So we'll see if he punishes us with that at any point at Kenilworth on Saturday. But saying that, it's going to be a tight game, but Wolves should have enough quality. I think it'll be a 2-1 Wolves win. But Luton, all the best. You guys have got some good momentum, compared to the last, 10 years ago when you beat us in the FA Cup, and we were polar opposites in terms of, where we both were in the football pyramid. And to see us both at the same level now for you guys is fantastic. And you've got a winning mentality. You wouldn't be here without that. So I think pundits already writing you guys off are being quite disrespectful. And I think, there is going to be fight there to win games, and that's especially at home. I think that's where it's going to be difficult for Wolves on Saturday. But let's wait and see. All the best to you guys, obviously, after Saturday for the rest of the season. Be great to see you guys pick up some victories and some points. And all the best. I'll catch you guys soon.
So that was Dave from Talking Wolves. I did go on their channel for a preview as well. So check that out if you haven't already. I did put that down in the community post. Thank you to him for doing that. And that is what he had to say on the game. So that was his score prediction and his thoughts going into it. We will get into ours now. Dad, how do you see it going? Are we gonna pick up our first points this weekend?
Well, firstly, big up to Dave. Appreciate that. Some nice comments as well. So thank you for that. They're all difficult. More difficult than when they was talking about in the Championship. Every game's difficult and this, that, and the other. It's what I'm thinking is we've learned. When we got promoted, everyone was going, Luton play direct, and they're going to play like this in the Premier League, and people saying it's going to change it up, or people won't like that in the Premier League. We haven't been able to do that. All right, we've had one home game where do you know what I mean? But the away, so it's difficult, and we've already seen that there's a lot of possession-based football, technical, short passes, triangles, this, that, it's quicker. I think we've got used to that. We're getting a lot better at that. But it's the not having possession, not having that momentum. It's killed our momentum from what we used to have when we used to consistently do what we did in the Championship. So Fulham, back to basics, defend, count. It worked. It definitely worked. We was unlucky, let's be honest. And it's the team that, drew 2-2 with Arsenal. They're going to be safe. So this is again where we've got and we've got that advantage of having the friendly with them, the 0-0. So we know their possession base. We know what they're like. They've done it to Man United. They've done it to Liverpool. But that shows us that it's not just us. So that's a good thing as well. Because when we first played in that friendly, we was like, whoa, the level that high. But if you've seen that they can play that possession-based football against anyone in the Premier League so far, top team. So if they had a couple more signings, they'll be all right. Or if Gary O'Neill managed to work out how to utilise that squad, they'll be fine. But so it's down to us now to play. I haven't seen us play with any sort of real consistent intensity so far. And that's what we need to be doing. Like the snippets a bit in different games, and that more so probably the West Ham game. But we need to really, really be doing that. Put it to them. They struggle to score, so we've got to sort of have that in the back of our minds. Just push, which I think we will do. But I still think it's not going to be easy. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Nice. So you reckon that'll be the first point
Yeah.
that comes tomorrow? That's good. I'll take that. Me, obviously, like I say, it's our second, obviously, home game of the Premier League season. You know, when I looked at the calendar, you know, at the start of the season, you know, the first game I thought we'd maybe get a point out of, we could have, was that West Ham game. You know, Brighton and Chelsea was always going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, and obviously Burnley. I thought we could have maybe got something out of that as well. And then this was the next game I looked at where we could get something, you know, especially, you know, Wolves having the FFP problems, the players they've, you know, managed to miss out on. You know, they do not score many goals. You know, it's similar to us. Sometimes they struggle to hit the back of the net. So for me, I'm going to go for a draw as well. I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw, though. Because that's the same as what it was in the friendly. Like you say, it was good to see that friendly because we saw a glimpse of what's to come. You know, I did mention that on the preview on the Wolves channel the other day as well. You know, and for us, it was a good test to see where we're at, you know, going into this season. And even in that game, to be fair, we did score 3 goals, didn't we? But obviously they were it all didn't count. So, you know, and yeah, it links back to what I said. I would start Giles in this one. As much as he hasn't overly impressed me last couple of games, I just feel, you know, this game might benefit him being against his former team and looking at what he'd done in that friendly. You know, he played some good balls in. I think he was the one who actually crossed it into Elijah, wasn't he? When Elijah was slightly offside. So we will see. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if we done what you said and bring him on in 60 minutes. So yeah, we will see. But hopefully subs are a little bit earlier, depending on how the game is going. But your score predictions, we will go through them. Chris has gone for a 1-1 as well, as he's gone with the same as you. And Lennon, however, has gone with the same as me. He's gone with a 0-0. And then Jackie said, my predictions haven't been good so far, but feel we will beat Wolves 2-1. Come on, you Hatters.
Yeah.
That would be very nice. So yeah, we've all gone for a tight game, you know, and you know, some a draw. Jackie's the only one to go for a win so far, but we will see. With that, Spencer's just come in now with another 2-1 to Luton. Could also see a 1-1 draw. Yeah, I'll take a draw. You know, ideally these are, you know, for me, I'll say both in a battle. For me, this is, you could say, a 6-pointer. But I just feel to start off for us, you know, because obviously we still ain't got any points yet. If we get a point and try and build on that next week against Everton, which is, again, it's another game, you know, of another team around us. So yeah, it's like that. And I'm the same here. I think we're all the same here, Stephen, mate. We just want to point all points. So yeah, we will see. But yeah, I think they'll get something out of this. Yeah, that's fair enough. It might be one of them, but we'll see, man. We will see what goes on. But any final things you'd like to say, Dad, before we wrap this up?
Carry on enjoying the ride because it is what it is, and whether we go down or not, we're still in a fantastic position. You know what I mean? So enjoy it. There's some history there. When we did beat them in the cup, they had Kevin Foley, who used to play for us previously, playing for them, who's now back with us, like a coach or something like that. Obviously, Rob Edwards used to play for them as well. They've got Jamie O'Hara was playing for them that day, so I think that's why he's always talking shit against us on talk shite. So yeah, this is a good opportunity for us to you know, like Gary Neville was saying previously when we played West Ham, when you see him play West Ham at Kenilworth Road, you'll see the real Luton, but he didn't really. So hopefully this is where you see it. You know, we can't keep leaving it too long. We've acknowledged that we need to change it up. So we need to acknowledge that we need to go at them and at home to any team, really. Obviously, barring like Man City in that way, no one can, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, you have to break them down. Like, a lot of teams are discovering, though, that if you play that counter attack way against them, you can expose them. Nathan Jones, although he gets a lot of,
Heat.
or whatever, he showed that with a poor Southampton side, and they were playing like we did, and how he, you know what I mean, we was playing under him. So it is possible. And Inter, was it Inter who done it? Who tried to do it to them in the Champions League?
Yeah, in the final, yeah.
So, and it worked to a certain extent. So, if we can start doing that against lesser teams who are possession based, i.e. Wolves, then that standards, will be looking good. So, yeah, just enjoy like how the journey, because that's what it is. And it is harder than we've expected it to be. But for me, that's because of the majority of the new signings are starting and not the core team from last season. Because you can see that when they do come on, Doughty, brother, do you know what I mean? These players that they're hungry. They're playing like they was like that. You wouldn't think that they were like, oh, we're in the Premier League. The way they're coming on and playing is, that's the difference. The players that we've signed are not on that level, that team level. They've got the ability, but they're not on that spectrum. Like that's all it is. Once that connects, then I think potentially that could be a catalyst to us staying up. But it starts tomorrow, man, for me.
Yeah. No, hopefully it does. But yeah, that is that. Obviously, episode 119 of the Hat Show. Like I say, apologies about the start. Just laptop having absolute mares. But we'll be back again on Monday to obviously, react to this game and obviously preview. We'll do it all in one because, it's a quick turnaround to the Exeter game. And then obviously we'll be back again. Might do one on Thursday and then do one on Friday. Friday, obviously, previewing the Everton game. Thursday, obviously, reacting to Exeter or something like that. We'll let you guys know later on in the week. But big up to everyone that has tuned in. Big up to everyone that was in from the start. I'll say apologies about the start. We are currently on 12 likes. So don't forget to smash the like button if you haven't already. I know a lot of people watch this back on playback as well, so smash the like there. Do subscribe to the channel if you are new. That would be appreciated. And yeah, I think that's everything when it comes to that. Obviously, like I say always, it is a 3:00 game, so there will be no watch along. Next watch along as it stands when it comes to Luton is obviously that Tottenham game, 12:30 kickoff on the 7th of October. So yeah, that is that. But yeah, until Monday, we will see you lot in a bit. So take care and peace. Hopefully, we can finally get something. We will see. Can we finally get something? Hopefully. So until then, take care and peace. Up the town.